doctor on the air? Well, there is right now via Skype. It's our friend Dr. Sanjay Jain, board certified physician and the author of the book Optimal Living 360: Smart Decision Making for a Balanced Life. Sanjay, again, thank you. Let's talk about the decision making on the part of the CDC. They're telling us they plan on closely monitoring people arriving from these Ebola-ridden nations for 21 days. How on earth are they going to implement this now?
You know, that's a great question. Did they even put a price tag on this whole thing to monitor all these people, all the personnel you need for this? It's going to cost a lot of money. Where's the price tag on this?
Well, it's not only a question of price, but Sanjay, how on earth are they going to enforce it? Do they have enough people with medical training to really put these people to take them and put them in a situation where they can be monitored?
You know, I hope so, because they've turned the airport personnel into pseudo doctors. They're making them check temperatures, and they're not even clinicians. They're not nurses. They're not even health professionals. They're just giving the TSA people, whoever these people are, to just check temperatures. So I honestly don't know who they're going to hire, who's going to actually want to get involved, because if there is an Ebola patient, then you're exposing these people to the possible virus. So I'm kind of curious how they're going to implement this.
Dr. Jain, let's talk about this new 30-member U.S. military team that's now training in Texas. What can you tell us about this team?
Well, from the reports that I've read, this team is going to be very fast, lightning quick in terms of getting to a possible site where there's an Ebola presence. So the whole point of this, they look at this as national defense. This Ebola virus is part of, even though it's not really a military defense, but it's still defending our country from defending our citizens. So I can understand what the Pentagon and what the military is trying to do. They still need to clarify exactly what their mission is, and they haven't really stated that.
What do you think they should be doing now?
Well, they have, you know, this whole Ebola czar that we just got, this Ebola czar really has to come up with a way to not only communicate exactly what each unit's doing, meaning the military, the CDC, the WHO organization. There's a lot of players in this, and trying to get all this to understand who's doing what is very important. So with the military getting involved, they're going to probably be involved in terms of rolling out ways to either quarantine and implement some of these things in terms of policing how things are being done. But there's still a big question mark. They haven't really been clear about that.
And speaking of continuing question marks on this, Sanjay, if the CDC thinks they need to monitor folks for, 21 days after they get here, why let them in the first place? Why the reticence for a travel ban? Haven't some other nations enacted a travel ban by now?
You know, I said on this show that there should be, and I'm not opposed to a travel ban. Now this whole travel issue has become a big political issue. President Obama is open-minded to it, but he's not sure. He's kind of leaning toward what the CDC officials are saying, that this can actually worsen it. But they haven't explained how it can worsen it. You know, they're claiming that, okay, well, we can't get health workers into these stricken countries, but why not have a special transport and get those people there, and maybe look at limiting these commercial flights? If you look at all these other nations in Africa, which clearly have travel bans, South Africa, many nations, they are free of Ebola. And so now they're saying, let's open these doors up and let's allow a limited restrictions of traveling, which are the 4 airports: Newark Airport, we're talking about JFK, we're talking about Dulles, O'Hare, and the airport in Atlanta. So these are the only hubs that they're allowed to go to. But then you got to monitor this. So how are you going to monitor? Are you going to get the CIA or the NSA to monitor them afterwards, or where they're going to go? I don't know.
And Dr. Jain, there's been a lot of criticism over the appointment of this czar, saying he really doesn't have any medical background, nor does he have any authority to do much of anything. Do you agree with that?
Well, he probably doesn't have an authority, but the problem they had before was everybody was doing their own thing, and no one really was streamlining this. So you don't really need a doctor to be the czar. You need someone to kind of organize things and kind of figure out who's doing what and making sure things are being done. So I'm actually I'm okay with the czar, but we have to make sure that he's managing this properly.
And in the final analysis, Ebola, quote, czar or no, the President of the United States carries the message to the American people. And yesterday, there was our president trying to reassure the American public about just how difficult it is to contract Ebola. Let's take a listen to what he had to say, then I'd like to get your reaction.
And so once again, I want to emphasize to the public, this is not airborne. You have to have had contact with the bodily fluids of somebody who is actually showing symptoms of Ebola, which is why it makes it so hard to catch, although it obviously is very virulent if, in fact, you do come in contact with such bodily fluids.
Sanjay, the president practicing medicine without a license, because we've heard this virus could be airborne, or some forms of Ebola could be airborne. What's the real story?
Well, the real story is it is not airborne now. We don't know looking forward in a crystal ball if it's going to be airborne. So controlling this virus from proliferating is very important so it doesn't mutate. So I appreciate President Obama's reassurance to the public, and that's his job. His job is to kind of reassure the public, and that he's playing his role. But at the same time, we have to still get some transparency. There's a lot of things that are not very transparent in terms of the messaging. So I really hope this new czar can do that.
Dr. Jain, there was some talk from the CDC about making Ebola-specific hospitals a sort of super center, but Newsmax regular Betsy McCoy says the CDC is taking a gamble by presuming that a few days is enough to make a hospital Ebola ready. Do you agree with that assessment? We only get about 30 more seconds.
It is a gamble because we saw what happened in Dallas. They were caught with their pants down. They didn't know what they were doing, and it actually made the problem worse. They got 2 nurses infected, and now we're talking about trying to get these other hospitals trained. They got to get the messaging out. CDC has been sending emails out to these different hospitals, but they really got to get the protocol.
Sanjay, we are caught right here. Sorry to interrupt. Sanjay Jain, thank you for your time, and America's Forum will continue after this.